Chapter 1 Time Travel. Can I get a heads up next time? Master, what's wrong? Why did you suddenly stop? A nimble young servant, dressed in green and wearing a small cap, about 14 or 15 years old,
looked at Xuanhuan with wide eyes and asked questioningly. At this moment, Xuanhuan looked bewildered. Where is this? How did he suddenly end up in such a place? Was he dreaming? This little fellow called him master. What kind of master was he? Who are you?
Then said, Imerbao, what's wrong with you? Master, why don't you even recognize me? And who am I? You're my master. Qin Shaoyou! Qin. The name was exactly the same as his own, ignoring the fair-faced servant.
Qin looked around. He was standing on a street, a wide street paved with bluestone slabs. There were many pedestrians on the street, all dressed in ancient clothing. On both sides of the street were teahouses, taverns, pawnshops, and workshops.
There were also many small vendors with large umbrellas set up in the open spaces along the streets. The sun was setting. The evening glow gently spilled over the red bricks and green tiles, or the brightly colored pavilions and eaves,
adding a touch of haziness and poetry to the bustling scene before him. Filming a costume drama. A film set. What on earth was going on? Even a dream couldn't be this realistic. Qin was still dazed when a surge of information suddenly flooded his mind.
He paused, then looked at the servant and said, Let's go sit in the tea house ahead. Ah, master, aren't you going to the poetry meeting? Qin didn't pay him any attention. After walking a dozen steps, he entered a tea house on the side of the street.
A waiter with a flattering smile hurried forward to greet him. Master Qin, it's rare for you to visit our humble establishment. Please come in. What tea would you like? Qin ignored the waiter and went straight to a private room and sat down.
The waiter was stunned. This Xuanhuan was having another one of his fits. But he only dared to grumble to himself. He certainly wouldn't dare say it out loud. Seeing his master sit down without speaking, Erbao said, Just bring the best tea.
Fruit and snacks. Second master won't shortchange you on the money. That's right. The waiter quickly went down. Qin closed his eyes. His consciousness entered a strange place. It was because a message had just appeared in Qin's mind.
To enter box system activated. Please check it host. It was an ancient and atmospheric interface. Ishoim. Qin. Level, mortal. Skills, none. Equipment, none. Pet, none. Reward items, none. Besides that,
there was none. Was shocked. He was perfectly fine. How did he get possessed by some system? And it even came with time travel. It didn't even tell me. So inhumane. He tried calling out in his mind. System, are you there?
A voice sounded in Qin's mind. Qin was overjoyed and relaxed slightly. Being able to communicate was the best. Qin system. I've time traveled, right system? Yes, then can I go back? Qin asked his most important question. System, yes.
Qin was overjoyed. Being able to go back was great. He didn't want to be like the protagonists in other novels, time traveling into an age of hate. Forever separated from family and friends. With that worry gone, Qin relaxed a lot and became excited.
Haha, he actually got a system. His life would no longer be boring as before. Qin, system, can you introduce yourself? System, my full name is the Moonlight Box Time Travel System. I can take the host to travel through countless worlds.
Each time the host travels, they need to receive a main task. They can only return to the main world after completing the main task. Each completed task will yield corresponding system rewards. The system will also randomly issue temporary tasks,
which will have corresponding rewards. Moonlight Box System. The name is a bit common, but it's catchy and easy to remember. Qin asked, So, does that mean I can't go home without completing the task? Will I be trapped here forever? Yes.
But I haven't received any tasks. Why did you just drag me here? System. Host, this is the trial period. After the trial period, you can directly return to the real world. Then tasks will be issued.
You can choose whether to accept the tasks. If you give up the tasks, it's equivalent to abandoning this system. The system will automatically leave and find another master. Woo, it's a trial period. How long is this trial period? 2 days.
Qin suddenly remembered something else and quickly asked, By the way, system, why did I become someone else after time traveling? Is this a physical or soul transfer? System. Host. It's a physical transfer, however.
The system will arrange a reasonable identity and change your clothing and appearance according to the situation. The body is your own. I solemnly remind the host that death in another world is equivalent to real death. Hearing this, Qin's heart tightened.
It seems he needs to be cautious. Can I bring things with me when I time travel? Yes. Anything the host is holding can be brought along. Ecstatic. Being able to bring things during time travel is amazing.
I'll bring a few pieces of imperial kiln porcelain and some famous paintings back with me. I can easily sell them for tens of millions or even hundreds of millions. Haha. Let's make a fortune first. Qin instantly became energetic. He excitedly asked, System.
What dynasty is this? Please explore it yourself. Who am I? You should at least give me the original owner's memories or something. Memory infusion will only happen when the formal task begins. During the trial period, please explore it yourself.
Qin Guan was stunned. Explore it myself? How? No way. You can't just leave me hanging like this. At least tell me some common sense about this world. Figure it out yourself. Qin Guan suddenly remembered something. He quickly said, wait, I'll be here for 2 days.
Doesn't that mean I'll be considered missing? My family will call the police. After time travel to another dimension, time in the other world is frozen. Qin Guan breathed a sigh of relief. So, can you still offer me any help? No.
The system has completed its work. Its mission has begun. The system will enter a sleep state. The system will reappear after the mission is completed. Goodbye, hey, don't go, system! Moonlight, are you there?
Qin Guan called out for a long time, but there was no response. Qin Guan could only sheepishly open his eyes and found Erbao staring at him with wide eyes, very close. Qin Guan subconsciously shrank his neck and scolded. What are you doing, Erbao?
Timidly saying, young master, you're awake. I was watching to see if you were in a trance. You've been motionless since you came in. For half a quarter of an hour, your young master was contemplating. Qin
Guan stubbornly said, young master, were you thinking of new poems for tonight's poetry gathering? Erbao asked. Chapter 2, Poetry Gathering. Can you not be sarcastic? Qin Guan was about to ask what poetry gathering it was,
but immediately stopped. He didn't understand the original owner's situation, so it was better to say less and avoid revealing his identity. Yes, I suddenly got inspired just now, so I was pondering. Has the young master come up with any good poems or verses?
Qin Guan glared at Erbao, such a chatterbox. Erbao wasn't very afraid of Qin Guan. He said with a chuckle, young master, you said you wanted to show off in front of the courtesan Meng Xiangzhou. First win her heart, then win her virtue.
Meng Xiangzhou is known as a talented poet among the 3 beauties of Hangzhou. How can you go without preparing some poems? Why don't you just memorize those 2 poems you bought? I can't believe this is what the original owner said.
Has such an unprincipled person. First win her heart, then win her virtue. Unbelievable. He even prepared to cheat with poetry. Qin Guan had just been thinking of letting this servant take him back to this identity's home for a couple of days,
just to get through the experience period. But hearing the word courtesan, he became interested. The ancient courtesans, like Li Shishi, Xuanhuan, and Su Zhaoxiao, those famous beauties, they were all said to possess breathtaking beauty.
A face that could topple nations. Qin Guan's interest was piqued. Not to witness them would be a waste of a trip to the ancient past. Being timid and shrinking back was to Qin Guan's style. Hand them over, Qin Guan said, extending his hand. Erbao froze. What?
Master, the poems, hand them over. What? You want to see your master make a fool of himself at the poetry gathering? Qin Guan said impatiently. Oh, right. Erbao quickly pulled 2 sheets of Xuan paper from his bosom and handed them to Qin Guan.
Qin Guan held them and looked. Hanzi characters. Traditional script. He frowned, studying them for a long time. Before arriving at a conclusion, he couldn't understand them. He could recognize some simple characters,
but the more complex ones left him scratching his head. Although he was a university student, these obscure and difficult poetic phrases were beyond his comprehension. Qin Guan tossed the 2 sheets of paper back to Erbao. What's wrong, master?
Erbao quickly caught them, asking in confusion. Memorized them. Qin Guan was bluffing. He decided he'd simply go along for the ride, to get a glimpse of these ancient courtesans. As for composing poetry, such a highbrow activity,
he'd leave that to the so-called great ancient literati. Let's go to the poetry gathering. Qin Guan, shaking his scholar's robe, stood up with a flourish. Erbao looked at the table laden with tea and snacks, lamenting, Master, you ordered all this,
and didn't even have a sip of tea or a bite of anything. Such a waste. If you like it, take it. Now, let's go. Erbao settled the bill. The waiter packed up the melon seeds, peanuts, and cakes into 2 small packages,
making his belly bulge. Yet, a satisfied smile played on his lips. Erbao led the way. The sun was setting, leaving only a vast expanse of twilight. Qin Guan kept glancing at his surroundings. Before he knew it,
he had arrived at Xuanhuan in the south of the city. Xuanhuan was a separate courtyard of Jinling Temple in the south of the city. Inside, there were lush bamboo forests and winding streams, a truly stunning landscape.
Various flowers and plants bloomed everywhere, vying for attention. 2 tall cherry blossom trees stood on either side of the stone path, their blossoms in full, vibrant bloom. Brother Shaoyou, you've arrived, a chubby young man, about 20 years old.
Ah, I've arrived, you got here early. Qin Guan chuckled, returning a bow. Damn it, who is this? I don't recognize him. Only careful maneuvering would do. The chubby man approached, acting extremely familiar.
He whispered in Qin Guan's ear, Lu Su and Lu Chunyuan are already here. The Qian brothers are here too. Those 2 cowards, always trailing behind Lu Chunyuan. They're probably going to give you a hard time today. Qin Guan's eyes widened.
He really wanted to ask, why are they making things difficult for me? What did I do to them? But after a moment's thought, he held his tongue. Right now, less is more. Qin Guan seemed unconcerned as he waved his hand and said,
Let's just have our own fun and ignore them. The chubby man nodded. Brother Shaoyou, you're so magnanimous. With the chubby man leading the way, it was much easier for Qin Guan. He had Erbao wait outside the inner courtyard where the gathering was taking place.
Qin Guan noticed that quite a few servants and attendants had already assembled. Entering the inner garden, the scenery was even more beautiful, a quintessential Jiangnan landscape of breathtaking beauty. During this time,
Qin Guan managed to learn the chubby man's name, Zheng Dai. Qin Guan even overheard something else. The name of the country in this era was Zhao. Qin Guan pondered. Apart from the Warring States period, he couldn't recall any dynasty called Zhou.
Could it be that he had traveled to a parallel universe, a dimension similar to ancient China? Soon, the two arrived at an open-air pavilion where many people were already seated, about 20 in total. Dusk was falling, and tall candles lit the surroundings.
Tables were laden with food, drink, writing brushes, ink, paper and inkstones. Everything was prepared for a late-night session.
Qin Guan scanned the gathering and noticed a petite woman in a green silk dress and adorned with jeweled hair ornaments sitting among the guests. She appeared quite young, perhaps 16 or 17 years old. She was undeniably beautiful, with fair,
rosy skin and particularly striking arched eyebrows that enhanced her bright eyes. Especially under the candlelight, her features appeared even more three-dimensional. Viewing a beauty in the lamplight had its own unique charm.
Qin Guan and Zheng Da's arrival naturally attracted the attention of others. Qin Guan had only admired the scene for a moment, still marveling at the ancient courtesan, when he heard an unpleasant voice. Oh, is it this Qin Guan, young Master Qin?
It's rare to see you at a poetry gathering. What brings you here today? Truly remarkable. Qin Guan looked over and saw a man with an overly square face, like a coffin lid, looking at him with a mocking smile. Qin Guan didn't know him.
But he was the one Zhenda had mentioned earlier, Qiansheng, the second of the Qian brothers. Hearing the obvious sarcasm, Qin Guan felt annoyed. Hey, I'm just keeping a low profile, here to enjoy the fun, he thought.
But this guy's looking for trouble from the start. Young Master Qin had never been one to take insults lying down. Qin Guan stared at the other man and said, So, does this poetry gathering have rules about who can and can't come? I'm not aware of any such rule.
Qiansheng laughed. Naturally there are no such rules. But Qin Brothers' scholarship is well known to our classmates from the academy. I wonder what masterpiece you've brought for us today. As if you have a masterpiece, Qin Guan retorted. Let's hear it.
The man was stunned by Qin Guan's question and couldn't answer. Qin Guan chuckled. Looks like another airhead. All talk and no substance. Chapter 3. Faded red. Young apricot blossoms. Seeing Qiansheng stymied, another man with a similarly square
coffin lid face stood up. Qiansheng's older brother, appearing slightly more mature than his sibling. Xuanhuan narrowed his eyes. Brother Qin, you've just arrived and don't know the situation.
The poetry gathering has been going on for half an hour, and several excellent works have already been presented. This time, Meng, the foremost poet, set the theme. Lamenting spring, poetry and Sai lyric are both acceptable.
Brother Chunyuan's Qingyu case is excellent in both meaning and phrasing, with profound implications. The line "the blue clouds are rising and setting, and the colorful pen writes a new sentence that breaks my heart" is truly captivating.
And Master Meng's Butterfly Lovers is exquisitely crafted, beautifully depicting the scenery and emotions. It's a truly remarkable work. At this point, Qian Mao began to recite the poem, swaying his head rhythmically. Mountains shrouded in mist, pout.
But only to spring departs. Fragrant petals of faded flowers pave the road. Willow Creek banks, where dawn orioles sing. Beauty is hard to hold. Standing at dusk, I am saddened by the twilight of spring. Standing until dusk,
gazing to the horizon, reluctant to look back. Do not ask how much idle sorrow there is. Half a curtain of hazy dreams, filled with emotion, drinking wine and listening to the wind. I bejing sein Enget holding wine.
Listening to the wind's whispers. After he finished, a scholar in the audience exclaimed, "This truly captures the nuances of longing and regret." He applauded, and others followed suit, praising Master Meng's poem. Qin Guan watched them all, dumbfounded.
To be honest, he didn't understand a word. Qin Guan stared blankly at these guys having fun. To be honest, he doesn't understand. Having said that, Qian Mao turned to Qin Guan, a slight smile playing on his lips. Brother Qin, he said.
Your reputation precedes you throughout Hangzhou. Since you've come to this poetry gathering, you must surely leave us with a poem. Otherwise, word will spread that Qin Guan, the second son of Qin Langzhong, is nothing but a feckless wastrel.
That would certainly tarnish the family name. Of course, he continued, no one here would readily believe or spread such rumors. Qian Mao maintained his amiable smile. Qin Guan felt a surge of disgust. This guy was far more insidious than his brother.
He was clearly goading him into showing off. Qin Guan surveyed the crowd. Most were amused, mocking smiles. Even Meng Xiangjun, the courtesan, looked at him with disdain. Beside her sat a man, perhaps 20 years old, with a warm, handsome countenance, yet
Qin Guan suddenly felt out of place, worlds apart from these people. Ding! A system notification echoed in Qin Guan's mind. Qin Guan froze, quickly checking the message. System issuing temporary task. As a time traveler,
you cannot be scorned by these old fogies. Compose a poem to astound them. Success yields a reward. Failure incurs no penalty. Qin Guan felt a pang of bitterness. He muttered to the system, I don't know many poems, only those from textbooks. Besides,
I don't know if someone else has already written them. Plagiarism would be humiliating. Notification to host. This is a parallel timeline. History has diverged since the Tang Dynasty. Qin Guan's eyes lit up. A slight smile appeared on Qin Guan's face.
Seeing Qin Guan's expression, many thought he had been driven to idiocy by the ridicule. Then, Qin Guan declared loudly, I've been concealing my talent, unwilling to reveal it. Do you think I'm incapable of writing poetry? A poem about the fleeting spring.
I can conjure one effortlessly. The flowers fade, the red is gone. Young green apricots appear, swallows fly by. Green water surrounds the homes, the willow catkins on the branches. Fewer and fewer. Where in the world is there no fragrant grass?
The moment this half-sea was uttered, the mocking expressions on everyone's faces vanished, replaced by bewilderment and astonishment. The first part sets the scene. The flowers fade, the red is gone, young green apricots appear, the 100 flowers wither,
and the apricot trees bear unripe fruit. This directly establishes the theme. Spring is gone, summer has arrived, a perfect embodiment of the lament for spring's passing. Before the shock subsided, Qin Guan continued, the swing in the courtyard wall.
And the path outside, the passerby outside the wall. The beauty inside laughing, the laughter gradually fades. The sound softens, much affection, yet met with cold indifference. The latter half of the verse, using sound to depict scenery,
is even more captivating. The artistic conception is hazy, leaving a lingering aftertaste. As soon as Qin Guan finished reciting his poem, everyone present, including Lu Xuanhuan, Meng Xiangjun, and the Qian brothers, was stunned.
The depth of the artistic conception and the exquisite imagery of this poem far surpassed their previous works. 100 times better. It was undoubtedly a masterpiece destined for immortality. Everyone stared blankly at Qin Guan,
unable to believe that this poem came from the famously dissolute young master of Hangzhou. If even a playboy could write such exquisite poetry, what were they? A bunch of fools. Ding dong. The host poem shocked these old scholars. Temporary task reward.
The reward has been issued. The host can claim it at any time. Qin Guan's heart leaped with joy at the system reward. However, with so many people around, it wasn't a good time to check the reward.
He had lost interest in the poetry gathering and turned to leave. Just then, Qin Sheng suddenly shouted, Impossible! How could you have written this poem? Qin Guan's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that this era also had a sushi?
And he had written this poem, he heard Qin Sheng continue. You definitely paid someone to write this poem. Heh! Qin Guan, doing something so disgraceful to literature. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by all the scholars? Oh right, Qin Sheng continued.
You don't. Everyone here is a Shukai, passed the preliminary imperial examination, but you, Qin Guan, the second young master Qin, are at best a student at a private academy. You can't even pass the Shukai exam, given your character.
Qin Shao, you really aren't afraid of being laughed at. Qin Guan turned around, his expression calm and composed. Which eye of yours saw that my poem was bite? Why could I have written such a poem, such poetry?
Try buying one and see who will sell it to you. If you wrote such a good poem, would you sell it? Idiot. Everyone thought about it. Such a good poem. If they had written it themselves, they would certainly publish it to gain fame.
That was worth far more than a few taels of silver. Only a fool would sell it. Qian Sheng's face turned red and white, looking very unsightly. Qin Guan continued. You think I can't write it, so I can't. You say I can't pass the Shukai exam, so I can't.
Who do you think you are? Don't use your peasant mentality to judge the vastness of the ocean. At this time, Qian Mao said with a forced smile, it seems that young Master Chun is determined to pass the Shukai exam. If I take the exam, it's a piece of cake.
It was only a 2-day trial period anyway, so Qin Guan didn't care about boasting. He played this role with ease. Brother Qin is so confident. Then how about we make a bet? Qian Mao said. What kind of bet? Qin Guan asked.
Let's bet on whether Brother Qin can pass the Shukai exam. How about a wager? Qin Guan asked. Simple, Qian Mao said, looking playfully at Qin Guan. If Brother Qin fails the imperial examination for the Shukai degree,
you jump into the center of Westlake and swim back to shore. How's that? Qin Guan suddenly realized how devious this guy was, having cleverly set a trap for him. Qin Guan's face darkened. And what if I pass? He asked.
Then Qin Sheng jumps in the lake and swims back. Qian Mao replied. Qian Sheng, upon hearing this, glared at his brother complaining. Brother, why use me as your wager? It's a matter of pride. Qian Mao retorted. Anyway, once my probationary period is over,
I don't give a damn about you lot of old fogies, Qin said. If we're wagering, let's be fair. If I fail, I swim. If I pass, both of you swim. That seems reasonable, don't you think? Qian Mao narrowed his eyes at Xuanhuan, then relaxed them, smiling.
Agreed, but we need a deadline. You can't just keep claiming you'll pass and drag it out forever. At this point, the handsome young man sitting beside Meng Xiangjian spoke. I suggest we set a 3-year limit. How does that sound? Chapter 4.
The charm of that fall, Qin had walked there, but he returned by carriage. It was Zhengde's carriage. The cabin was spacious. Qin and Zhengde sat inside without feeling cramped. It was luxuriously appointed, with a fine carpet on the floor.
And the ride was remarkably smooth. Zhengde even produced a dish of dried fruit from a nearby box. Bao, naturally, was not allowed in the carriage and had to walk. Fortunately, Zhengda's servant accompanied him inside the carriage.
Zhengde continued to berate Qin. Shaoyou, you shouldn't have agreed to that wager with Qian Mao. That fellow is full of schemes. You always need to be careful when speaking with him, lest you fall into his traps, Xuanhuan.
While appearing refined and cultured is actually quite calculating. His family and yours have a long-standing feud in the official circles. They constantly belittle you, and that reputation of yours as a wastrel is half their doing. It's my fault.
I shouldn't have invited you to see the courtesan, and why did you bet with Qian Mao on the imperial examination? Passing the Xukai exam isn't easy. My father whipped me for 3 years. I hired officials. Before I barely passed.
It seems you'll have to swim in the lake. At least you have 3 years. You'd better start practicing your swimming. The fat man chattered incessantly, but Xuanhuan ignored him.
He wasn't concerned about what might happen in 3 years. His immediate concern was how to navigate the next 2 days. Returning to the so-called Qin mansion, where he knew no one, was a different matter entirely. He feared he'd be exposed within an hour. No.
He'll hang around outside for a couple of days. I'm not going. Just then the carriage stopped. Bao shouted from outside. Master, we're home. Qin was startled. He hadn't even thought of a solution yet, and he was already home. Now he could even run away.
Qin got out of the carriage and said goodbye to Zhengde. Watching the carriage drive away, he walked towards the large mansion gate with heavy steps. Looking up, he saw a tall gatehouse. The vermilion gate was adorned with numerous copper studs.
2 stone lions stood guard at the entrance. The gatehouse walls featured exquisite carvings, and the roof carvings were even more delicate and beautiful. A lantern hung on either side, and a plaque hung above the gatehouse.
Bearing the 2 characters Qin Mansion, the high walls of the spacious courtyard extended outwards, approximately 2 meters high, topped with black tiles. The wall was built in a wavy pattern. This is my home, isn't it? It's quite lavish.
Ba stepped forward and banged hard on the courtyard gate, making a series of thudding sounds. He shouted, Qin Lao-san! Open the door! The second young master's back! Open up! Coming! Coming! A voice came from inside the courtyard gate.
With a whoosh, the second gate opened, revealing a man in his 40s, dressed in the blue attire of a servant. Seeing Qin, he quickly bowed and smiled. Second young master is back. You're not late today, Bao?
Scolded the gatekeeper. You talk too much. Bao followed Xuanhuan. Master listened to Fat Zhengde's endless chatter on the way back from the poetry gathering. Naturally.
He knows that master was mocked and ostracized at the gathering, and that he is in a bad mood. He was even goaded into making a bet to take the Xukai examination. That is something master could possibly pass.
He'll definitely become the laughingstock of Hangzhou if he tries, so master has been sulky the whole way. Following Bao inside, he stepped over the high threshold. He only had one thought. Wow, the threshold is a full foot high.
Anyone not agile would have to be careful. A sudden idea sparked in Qin mind. As he stepped over the second threshold, Qin put his right foot over, but his left foot inadvertently caught on the threshold. He stumbled and fell heavily to the ground.
Qinguan's head hit the brick ground with a loud thwack. Qinguan felt it really hurt. He closed his eyes, sprawling face down on the ground in a star shape, one leg still hooked on the threshold. A classic Zhou Xinqi style fall, quite a dramatic.
Master, what's wrong? Bao's cry of alarm echoed in his ears. Bao and Xin Lao-san quickly rushed forward to help Qin. But when they turned Qin over, they were both startled. Qin had a large bump on his forehead, bruised and purple.
He had his eyes closed and had passed out. I have to say, Qin was pretty hard on himself. That fall wasn't light at all. He still felt a little dazed. Help! Someone! The young master's passed out! Xin Lao-san billowed at the top of his lungs. Tap.
Splash, splash, splash. Many people rushed from the front yard. Men shouted. Women shrieked. A chaotic scene. The porch became incredibly noisy. Oh my! What happened? Second young master! Is second young master all right? Quickly send for a doctor. Then.
A steady voice rebuked them. Quiet down, Qin Ali. Carry the young master back to his room and settle him down. Qin Shi, go and fetch Dr. Jin. Tell him the young master hit his head and is unconscious. Tell him to come to our manor immediately. Do 1.
Go and inform madam. And about the old madam if possible. Don't tell her yet. You know how much she dotes on the second young master. Let's not upset her and cause more trouble. Following the steward's instructions, the others calmed down.
2 servants carried Qin Guan to his room. Qin Guan felt himself being lifted and laid on the bed. He kept his eyes closed, feigning unconsciousness. Just as he was settled, a maid announced, "Madam has arrived, madam."
Please see what's wrong with the young master. Qin Guan felt someone touch him. A slightly hurried middle-aged woman's voice sounded beside him. Guaner, what's wrong? Qin Guan naturally didn't respond. Steward, quickly send someone to find a doctor.
Find Dr. Jin, the steward replied. Madam, I've already sent someone. Madam Qin, however, noticed Bao standing in the back. She asked sternly, Bao, what exactly happened? Why did your young master injure himself? Bao's face was pale with fright.
Hearing madam's question, he immediately knelt down and stammered. When entering, the second young master seemed dazed. He wasn't paying attention and tripped on the threshold, hitting his head. Why was Guaner dazed? Bao blinked and said,
The young master attended a poetry gathering today. Bao then recounted what he'd heard, how the young master was ridiculed by the scholars, and how he made a bet to take the Shiukai examination. He recounted it all, a mixture of fact and guesswork.
Qin Guan listened with his eyes closed, thinking to himself, ridiculed, I was the one mocking them? Then madam spoke again. Bao, you neglected your duty in caring for the young master. Take him away, give him 10 lashes as a warning to others.
Qin Guan offered a silent 3-second moment of mourning for Bao. Bao, he thought. Don't blame me, just bear with it, I'll compensate you later. Mrs. Qin held Qin Guan's hand, murmuring, Guana, you mustn't get hurt. Your father and brother aren't home.
And you've been idling about all day. Your mother didn't dare say anything. But how did you suffer this unwarranted calamity? Don't damage your brain. After a while, footsteps sounded outside the door again. Someone called, Madam, Dr. Jin has arrived.
Please bring him in quickly. Chapter 5 Amnesia. Is it normal? Dr. Jin entered the room. Seeing the egg-sized bump on Qin Guan's forehead with scrapes on it, he asked, Mrs. Qin, how did the second young master injure himself?
He tripped on the threshold and hit his head. Mrs. Qin replied, well, let me take his pulse first. He placed 2 fingers on Qin Guan's wrist. After a while, Dr. Jin said, Madam, rest assured, the second young master is not seriously injured.
It seems he hit his head hard and fainted. But he will wake up soon. I'll apply some liniment and the head wound will heal in a few days. That's good, Mrs. Qin said. Qin Guan kept his eyes closed, feigning unconsciousness. In fact,
he heard everything clearly. Dr. Jin applied some ointment to Qin Guan's head and then left, ignoring the commotion outside. Qin Guan focused his mind on the system. He opened the system panel. Qin Guan, level, mortal, skills none.
Equipment none, pet none, reward items, exploding talisman, low-level talisman, instant use, has an explosive effect, can be activated according to the host's will. A small golden talisman was displayed in the item bar.
Ready to be retrieved, he studied the system panel again, searching thoroughly. The system panel was incredibly simple, displaying only a few items. Qin Guan exited the system. He had experienced a lot today, and it was quite exhausting.
The blow to his head was quite hard. Finally, he fell into a deep sleep. He slept soundly. Qin Guan stretched. He opened his eyes. Suddenly a pretty little maid's face appeared before him. The maid looked at Qin Guan with wide eyes, then let out a cry.
Second young master is awake! Second young master is awake! Then she ran out of the room. Qin Guan was startled. Then he remembered what had happened last night. It seemed he was still in his time travel experience.
Qin Guan got out of bed and wandered around in his long undergarment. He looked at the antique furniture in the room. If he had this much stuff in modern times, it would be worth a fortune. He touched his forehead and gasped. It still hurt.
Yesterday's fall had been quite a hard one. Just then, there was a commotion outside. Before anyone entered, a familiar voice called out, Guaner, are you all right? With the voice, a somewhat plump middle-aged woman came in.
Behind her were many men and women. Qin Guan saw Bao among them. This should be Qin Guan's mother. Qin Guan managed a difficult, Mother, Gainer, why are you out of bed? Wait a while, and I'll call Dr. Jin to check on you. Stay in bed until then.
Qin's mother taking his hand. I feel dizzy. Lying down is uncomfortable, and I seem to have forgotten some things, so I wanted to get up and walk around. Qin Guan mumbled. Madam Qin was startled. Oh, my son, what have you forgotten? What should we do?
Madam Qin turned and said urgently, Qin Rong, quickly, go and ask for Dr. Jin to come and see what's wrong with Guana. Yes, madam. Qin Guan recognized the voice. It was the Qin family's head steward. Shortly after, Dr. Jin arrived. After taking.
In theory, young Master Qin's injuries are not serious and should be fine. However, young Master Qin says he can't remember some things. I have seen this in medical books. It's called loss of soul syndrome. Some recover on their own after some time,
while others never regain their memories. Hearing Dr. Jin's words, Madame Qin's face turned pale. She immediately said, "What should we do? My son wouldn't have become a fool, would he? What should I do? Dr. Jin, is there any cure?" Dr. Jin hesitated. "Well,
I can't guarantee anything. Perhaps let him talk to people around him about his past. He might recover his memory that way." Dr. Jin left. Madame Qin was furious, and the Qin household servants were trembling. Qin Guan pretended to be confused,
saying he only forgot some things which didn't affect his eating and drinking. At noon, an old woman was helped into Qin Guan's room by 2 maids. Another round of weeping and wailing began. This was Qin Guan's grandmother, who had doted on him since childhood.
Qin Guan's father was a filial son, which fostered Qin Guan's spoiled nature. Mrs. Qin had the old lady sent back to her room. Then she called Erbao over and gave him careful instructions, telling him to talk to the young master a lot.
Hoping her son would remember things from the past, Mrs. Qin planned to personally go to the famous Baopu Taoist temple in Hangzhou to beg Master Ji to help her son regain his soul. Qin Guan lay in a rattan chair. Erbao stood nearby, his bottom sticking out.
Qin Guan smiled at Erbao's strange posture and asked, "What's wrong? Why don't you sit down?" Erbao looked distraught. "Young master, I got a beating yesterday. My bottom is still swollen." "Haha, then you can stand." Qin Guan laughed.
Erbao looked at Qin Guan and stammered, "Young master, you don't seem to have lost your soul. You don't understand. I just can't remember some things temporarily. I'll remember them in a couple of days. But you can tell me, and it might help me recover faster."
"Okay, young master, where should I start?" Erbao asked. "Let's start with our Qin family. Tell me about me first, then tell me about our family." Qin Guan picked up a cherry from a plate nearby and ate it. Erbao began to speak honestly. Qin Guan,
whose courtesan name is 18 years old, 3 years younger than the historical Qin Guan, his father. Qin Zhang is currently a Langjong in the Ministry of Revenue, a respectable 5th-rank official. Qin Guan also has an older brother, Qin Wei,
who has already passed the Shukai examination and is studying with his father, Qin Zhang, preparing for the next year's provincial examination. Qin Guan is the second son, known as Qin Shaoyou. He studies at Hangzhou Fushu Academy but is a spoiled young master.
While not a bully who oppresses men and women, he is a useless fellow and is quite well known in Hangzhou. Time passed with their questions and answers. As Qin Guan learned, he was surprised to discover that this country was called Zhao.
Ruled by the Song Dynasty with the Qin Jinling, it was surrounded by enemies Liao, Sixia, Tubo and Dali, strikingly similar to the historical Song Dynasty. As a patient, Qin Guan pretended to be ill for a day and enjoyed it very much. The next day,
his mother invited Master Ji from the Baopu Taoist temple and another lively ceremony was held. Qin Guan's personal maid, Yingxiang, fed Qin Guan a fruit and said, "Young master, people outside are saying that you've gone mad. It's infuriating.
Some are even spreading rumors about your bet with the Qin brothers. Some say you pretended to lose your memory to avoid jumping into the lake. Young master, could it be true?" Yongxiang's big eyes blinked as she looked at Qin Guan. In Yongxiang's opinion,
the amnesia was a pretense. It was most likely a ploy to avoid the bet of jumping into the lake if he failed the imperial examination. Qin Guan saw through the little maid's thoughts and gave her a sharp rap on the head.
Yongxing covered her forehead and timidly looked at Qin Guan. Just then, a surge of information flooded Qin Guan's mind. The time travel experience period was complete. The host could choose to return at any time. Qin Guan's heart leaped with joy.
He could finally go home.
The audiobook for chapters 1 to 5 of this issue has concluded. Subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell, share, and leave your comments. I will continue to update subsequent content.